In this video, we take a quick look at navigating through various aspects of the IDE. The IDE itself is somewhat customizable. For example, we already saw this auto-hidden toolbox window, which if I click its tab here on the left side, expands out for me. And we already talked a little bit about the pin icon as well, so if I want to always keep that toolbox displayed, now it's pinned to the left side of the IDE here. Now, one of the things that's interesting about the IDE is that if you prefer to have the toolbox in a different area, you can drag it to a different area of the IDE. So for example, if I wanted it over here on the right side, I can just drag it to the right side. And you'll notice as I drag to different areas that these buttons show up that allow us to say where we're going to dock this window to. So for example, if I were to let go right now, the toolbox window is going to take up the entire blue shaded area that you see on the screen. Whereas if I go over to the right side of the IDE here and hover over this piece, then it's going to take over that highlighted area of the screen. And of course, if I drag back over to the left here, I can put it back where it was originally as well. Now, another thing that's kind of handy once in a while is having a window take up the full screen. So for example, if I wanted to, I can drag out the Form 1 design window, and now it's a separate window, and I can maximize that to take up the entire screen if I want to. I can bring it back down, and of course I can once again bring it back into the IDE and dock it if I want to as well. So the IDE itself is somewhat flexible, and you can customize it to meet your development needs in terms of how you want the windows to be displayed. For example, when I'm doing video recording, I will often do things like auto hide the toolbox, auto hide the Solution Explorer, and auto hide the Properties window so that I have a much bigger area to work in. And also when I'm working on a smaller screened computer, I tend to do that as well. So that's the auto hide feature. We did talk a little bit about the Solution Explorer and the fact that it lists all the different windows, or files rather, that are part of your solution. What we haven't talked about yet are some of these icons across the top of the Solution Explorer window. In particular, sometimes it's helpful to show all of the files in a solution. By default, the IDE hides certain files that you shouldn't be modifying, but if you hit the Show All Files button, then it'll add all the files in to the various nodes. So this is really everything that's part of our app at this point. In most cases, you don't need to worry about those other files because they're being auto-generated for you. In addition, you'll notice that the project name, Windows Forms Application 1, is in bold. When you get to the point in later lessons where we have multiple projects within one solution, the so-called startup project is always going to be the one that's bold. And that's an important thing to note because of the fact that when you click the Start button, it's the startup project that's going to actually execute. Now, in addition to the Solution Explorer, let's bring back the toolbox here. When you're doing Windows Forms app development, you have the toolbox with various categories listed out here, the common controls that are most commonly used in Windows Forms apps. Then you have containers, which are GUI components that can contain other GUI components, menus and toolbars, options for data manipulation, which you'll tend to use, for example, when interacting with databases. Various other types of components, printing capabilities, dialogues that are predefined for you, like the color dialog or the open and save file dialogues. And in addition, you have some other capabilities here for Windows Presentation Foundation interoperability, and also Visual Basic Power Packs. These are some simple graphics capabilities and a print form that you can use now from Visual C# as well. Now, at the very top is also this All Windows Forms category, which just lists everything in alphabetical order. So if you prefer, you can just go with that portion of the toolbox.